Welcome back to another episode of Scale Like a Savage podcast. My name is Brittany Boatwright. I am so excited to be here with my co-host, Jamie Seneca. How are you feeling today, Jamie?
Well, I'm feeling so good. So we're about to talk about something that holds so many people back.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. This is the episode, guys and girls. I hope you are safely seated down. I hope that you are not at the office because you're probably about to get wrecked because Jamie and I are about to get into some real shit today. A few weeks back, we had the privilege of having Heather Monahan kick off our podcast, which is huge. She was so awesome to be our first guest. But she talked about something about villains. She talked about villains. She talked about the people, the systems, the circumstances that block you from where you want to go. And y'all, she wasn't wrong about any of that. But there's this one villain, Jamie. And honestly, she did not name that one villain. And it's going to be the hardest one to talk about. But today we're going to talk about that villain, the biggest one in your life, because it's probably you,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And the cliche saying, you are your own worst enemy, is 100% true. And we have been through it. And yeah. And it's
Yeah.
disguised as imposter syndrome, right?
Imposter syndrome, you wanting to have everything perfect. Jamie, let me tell y'all. Y'all, Jamie wanted everything to be perfect. That's just who she is. And I love that because I also am the same way to where Jamie's like, do you ever sleep, Britt? And I'm like, no, I just stayed up until 3 or 4 o'clock making sure the website looked great. Psycho. Like, I did not want to launch this thing and have anything be like halfway done because that's not the way we operate. But sometimes waiting for perfect will have you waiting for forever.
That is so true. And the biggest thing that I told myself on this journey and growth is do it messy, right? Do it messy, build the plane while you fly it, and trying to be perfect, it's just gonna cripple you.
Yeah, and one thing I will say, while we can recognize that we are our own worst enemy sometimes, that villain in the mirror doesn't want you to fail, right? That villain just wants you to stay safe. And that's exactly where it's dangerous to be. Our brain is not wired for us to go and seek out danger. Like, especially as moms, like we want to keep everything safe and everybody like warm and cozy. And anytime we try to do something that's unfamiliar, and that's why most folks don't like change because
Mm.
it's hella uncomfortable. But that villain isn't necessarily bad, but we're going to talk about what that person sounds like and why that villain keeps you from scaling and living the life of fulfillment. Yeah.
Yeah, we should get a mindset coach on here too. I think that would be freaking amazing.
That would be huge. Y'all thought y'all listened to a podcast about how to sell more real estate. We tricked y'all asses. It's more like how to fix you.
How to fix you so you can fix yourself and scale.
Yeah. So if you're listening to our podcast and a part of our community and you are a mindset coach, actually, we have a great guest on mindset and
Oh, me
right
too.
know what I'm talking about, right? He has a
Yeah.
great podcast. So I cannot wait to welcome my friend Dustin Runyon to the Scale Like a Savage podcast. Because when I told y'all I met Dustin, it's been over a year now when we first like got into close community with each other. And that man just changed my life. Like the words he spoke over me. We talked about this before on Heather's episode where you want leaders who speak life into you, right?
Mhm.
They're going to hold you accountable. They're going to love you. That's what they're called to do. It may sound harsh in the moment, but they're speaking to that person inside of you, that inner savage, because they just want to pull that freaking person out. And you get happier. You're just so much happier when you surrender to that.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know Dustin Runyon, you will know him because he will be on the podcast in a few weeks. And he also has a fantastic podcast himself called the Built for More podcast. It's phenomenal. His co-host, Matt Smith, one of my coaches as well. Those guys, I cannot recommend more. If you're like, who do I follow? Listen to that podcast as well. All
Yeah,
right.
I have it downloaded and I listen to it when I'm driving in the car, and it's been
Yeah.
inspiration for me too. I don't actually know them as well as you do, but they've impacted me in many ways just through listening to them speak and their journey as well.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
what inspired me, after you and I talked about Jamie, our journeys and where we're at. And I'm like, okay, I know where those guys are, and not saying they've made it or anything. I know they're always looking to become even better, leaders for Matt, father, for both of them, husbands. But like listening to their podcast inspired me because I'm like, there's other leaders in our predicament right now that
Mhm.
aspire to be like the Matt and the Dustins also, but like who better to speak to them and speak life into them than people that are in the exact same moment where we could have closed up shop and just said F this and let the inner villain win because we could have went home and been great wives, been
Mhm.
moms. Like both our husbands make a good living, but I don't know about you, I'm bougie as hell. So his income
I
is great. But I
I
need
like
my
I like nice things. I like vacation. I
yeah,
gotta work. I gotta work.
We're like, "When is it enough?" And I'm like, "First of all, I haven't gone to Fiji just yet, so it's not
So
enough until I can, like."
it's never enough, and that's okay because that's
Yeah.
what your individual definition of success is. But
Absolutely. But
yeah.
let's talk about this villain that keeps us from becoming the person that we should be. And this is where we're going to get very specific and we're going to talk about what that adversity looks like when you're battling yourself, which is so hard. The hardest thing to control is like the mind games that you have, this battle in between your ears. So I'm going to kick it off and talk about a season where I knew the business depended entirely on me.
Mhm.
I knew that, and I knew that for a fact is what I would tell myself. But that was also a trap in what that means to be a leader. When you are a founder and you have a vision, I know that it's so hard to get others to believe and see in what you have waiting on the other side of everybody working together as a unit to accomplish it. However, the lie that I told myself was that I had to be in charge of everything because it was mine. I held so tightly, I didn't let shit go. And in doing so, I didn't trust anyone. I could not scale effectively. It was like I was running in circle. Like we were doing so much revenue, and I was like, "Where the hell is the profit?" Like we weren't really growing, and it
Mhm.
was just this I don't know, ego talking to me, like, "Nobody will ever believe in what you're doing, you can't trust them with it enough." I had been burnt by past employees, like, it was just hard, but that villain telling me that I could not release power and empower somebody else really kept me stuck for years, Jamie. Did you, like, run into that one yourself at one point?
I definitely ran into that one. My villain was a little bit different. My villain was who is this girl, who is this woman, right, to start a real estate company and
Mhm.
scale to a whole different level that I wasn't even caught up to yet, you know? So
Yeah,
it's like I ripped apart the business. I ripped everything down to the ground. I could have stayed a solo agent. I could have lived a very, very, very comfortable life just doing what I was doing. But my imposter syndrome was like, okay, how gonna believe in me? Am I even capable of this? And
yeah.
what qualities do I have to even qualify me to try to do something so large? And hitting that roadblock after roadblock, you know, people believing in you and not believing in you, and you got massive knives put in your back on the growth journey. I had one agent that I hired. She read our team agreement. She's like, "Damn, you've been through it." I'm like, "Girl, if you want knew it, that shit's a book for a reason because I've been through it."
It's so funny you said that. My team agreement used to be like 18 pages at one point. I was like, that's so restrictive. I dialed it back down. I was like, F this, add this shit back in there.
You know, once you go through it, you're like, "No, no, no. I will have multiple pages. We'll be okay." But yeah,
Yeah.
that was my villain, that it's like, "Who are you to do this?" And then
Yeah.
also, you know, seeing people who have gotten to where they have gone and you know, people in our community and then like,
Mhm.
"Am I even capable?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Speaking back to the first villain, that girl in the mirror saying, "Who am I to do this?" We talked about this before. I was a first generation college student, first generation business owner, and gosh, is that tough? Like you don't have anybody to call in your immediate community if you're first everything. It's the weight of it all. And I did. Let me back up. I almost lied. I always knew that I was made and built for more.
Yeah.
It was just like, how would I get there because I did not have the roadmap? And, community is part of our pillars for a reason. And once I got around that community, then you're like, okay, I know it's possible because I've seen it done. So I had that borrowed belief. But then
Mhm.
the other girl would tell me is, it's probably impossible for your market because you're not from Knoxville, Tennessee. You are a black team leader. We're in a predominantly white market. Like I would get literally black team leaders to be like, how do you get our white cousins to work for you? And I'm like, because they're freaking people. Like, so
Mm,
like but I would still hear this stuff because, we live in a day, like prejudice is still a thing. And so I would hear stuff growing up where my family grew up dirt poor and I would hear shit. And I'm like, that's kind of prejudice for you to say about people that, that don't look like us. And thank God I didn't allow that to influence who I came into community with. But I could still hear that voice being like, well, they're going to think that your own community, right, will think that you devalue them because you run around in circles with all of these other people. And so it was that for me. It was, okay, I cannot be too much one way because then I'll get judged. And so we start judging ourselves. Like, am I doing
mhm.
enough for these people? Do they understand I care about everybody? Like, just all these different things that we tell ourselves when it's just like, no, I seek out my people. My people are my people, and I should not apologies for it.
But you make a really good point. Because I feel like too, and this is my experience, I don't know your experience, Britt, but once you remove those people who place those limiting beliefs on you, it's like your mindset, your confidence, your business just like amplifies when you're around people who are just, I don't wanna say on the same level, but on the same level of, like, growth and self-development and self-worth and wanting to develop other people and do good things, right? Like, that helped me, that borrowed belief of being in the community and seeing what's possible.
Yeah, and you know what's so funny? Something I had to realize this last year, and I couldn't even again, we talked about this before, where you can't be mad when you outgrow certain people because you're no longer in alignment with them. What I had to realize was that people, because my villain told me that I wasn't worth certain things, or who was I to believe I can accomplish, building this massive profitable company and then having 7 other companies because I'm insane like that. I would go to comfort, and comfort was friends who also thought and spoke like that villain inside of my head. Friends who knew lack, friends who did not live in abundance, friends who hated people that had money. I'm like, why the hell y'all hating on them? How about you get to know them, be inquisitive, like genuinely curious, and they will share the playbook. And that's what I found too. Once I stopped listening to those people who like aligned with my villain inside of my head and became curious about people like Matt, like Dustin, and just like got to know those guys, they will freaking give me the shirt off their backs. Like all because I was listening to my villain that wanted me to stay comfortable. Crazy stuff.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
Jamie, we were both on this journey of building our real estate team. So what is like the gap? Because I know I've been there. What's the gap between how confident you look in front of your team, but literally like how confident you really are behind the scenes and the doubt in your head?
That is such a good question. I show up like I am confident as hell, but in the background, I'm like, oh my God, I'm freaking crumbling, right? Like, you kind of have to become two different people when you're growing because I don't even really know how to answer that articulately right now, but that was the version for me was like in the beginning. And that's where I also feel imposter syndrome for
Mhm.
me can be so crippling because you have to show up as a version that you aren't yet. You have to show up confident when maybe the month prior, like we've talked about this in previous episodes, maybe it was really hard for you to pay payroll that month and you're showing up and you need to be confident for your team and you need to motivate them and inspire them. And you're wondering if your next couple deals are going to get canceled because then you're like, shit, how am I going to pay rent? Right. So, like, I mean, that is so real of showing up confident, but in the process, you're still trying to keep it all together.
Yeah, girl,
Mhm.
several times I'm like, payroll's due on Thursday, Wednesday, all those freaking closings better happen, or I don't know what the heck's going to happen. I mean, there were months where I took out 2 loans, and guys, I'm proud to say I paid off all business loans that I've took out to keep Max House afloat when I just couldn't.
Mhm.
So very, very, I thank God for that. That last payment hit on the 5th of June. And I'm at this point, I'm like, unless we're building a business and we're scaling some other crazy company, like, Lord, let me never see one of those business loans again. Seriously. But there were seasons where like taking out those loans just became, oh, but I got to draw from this again. It became normal. But you just got to continue to show up. So if you are having that, that self doubt, that imposter syndrome, Jamie, you're absolutely right. You show up anyway. For
Mhm.
me, you mentioned you listen to the Built for More podcast. I listen to that. I listen to The Mountain Is You. That's a great audiobook that I recommended my leadership team as well, because a lot of times we are our own mountain where we have all the systems, tools, and resources to get out of the slump. We just got to believe in ourselves enough to take the massive action in order to do so.
Yeah. And I want to give massive credit to the Cheplack community and the Reside platform, Preston Guyton and John Cheplack, Sydney Agarwal, and Nick McLean, because those guys changed my life. The borrowed belief in that community, the overall just amazingness of who they are. They
Mhm.
believed in me personally before I even believed in myself. And even just a text message, something as simple as like, don't stress, it'll come. You know what I mean? It's like that's something super simple of like, you might be having a bad month today, but it doesn't mean that bad month has to be tomorrow. That was just game changing for me because I'm like, okay, there's a little bit more validation. Just keep pushing and keep going. And they really, really helped me break through. I don't think they even realize that, honestly. They really helped me break through my imposter syndrome and just to keep going.
Well, they will now because this
They will.
podcast that will come out. And I'll say those friends are like so invaluable because what we fail to realize when we're on this journey of becoming the person ahead of us, they're still becoming something more. Like even Heather
Mhm.
talked about it to where she felt like in her journey, because motherhood comes to her first. Now that her son is flying the nest, she's like, I get to become and say yes to more opportunities and things where she's like, she's got bigger and greater goals. And I'm like at this point and building on my team to where I realize like we get things perfect and we self doubt, and we still act and do. So if you're in that moment, in that season of self doubt, still act and do until you become who you're trying to become. But please realize once you hit that level, every level has its devil. Like
Yeah.
shit's going to break again. We literally just sent out an offer for someone to be our transaction manager because I'm like, great, we hit this point to where I was so excited and the revenue and profit is great. And I'm like, oh shit, transaction, the white glove service is breaking. And I'm like, I don't deserve to have a transaction manager. I'm like, actually, my agents demand it and they do, and our clients
Mhm.
deserve it as well. So let's go out, commit to the freaking seller. Like she wanted more than we wanted to offer. I'm like, you know what? She's a freaking rock star. Just pay her. Like the money will come
Mhm.
at that point to where I can think abundantly because I had to work through, I'm not making money. I'm breaking even. This shit sucks. Like, y'all have
Mhm.
to realize that if you're on social media and you're like, these people have these amazing units, it's volume. I'm like, look at their P&L. I've been
Mm.
there. Like, guarantee you they're doing great on the outside. But if you were to get a closer look, you're like, man, you really aren't doing as great as I thought you were.
Yeah. That is so true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And one thing I want y'all to like take from this too, because Heather mentioned those external villains like your mom or your friend who loves you and is just afraid. Like my mom told me when I had just bought my house at February in 2017, I had my car note for my starter Benz, I had student loans. She was afraid. She was like, what do you mean you're going to leave your job making this money to be unemployed?
Mhm.
And that's nothing wrong with my mom. She wasn't trying to tear down my dreams. She was just genuinely like concerned.
And trying to protect you.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong about those villains and there's nothing wrong about the risk you're going to take. But what my villain was wrong about, because I had just became a wife. We were not even a year into our marriage and I decided to start my real estate team. Then we got pregnant a month later. My villain was wrong about my capacity. Like I told myself I can't have it all because people in the South, like Southern women, like stay at home mom, you take care, you cook and clean. I was really engaged to somebody before I met Aaron who he's like, you can just graduate from college, just work a teacher's salary. We don't need much. I just, and I'm like, what the hell? Like that was not me. Thank
Mm-mm.
God it didn't work out and I met my husband.
That is
But
not you.
that's not me at all. That's not. But then I still had this freaking villain telling me my capacity would not allow for it. And I'm just like, thank God I didn't listen because I still crush it as a mom, as a spouse, as a friend. Well, not so much on friendship. They kind of does get sacrificed when you're building. I will be honest with y'all. Like my friends are other real estate team leaders because they get it and I don't have to make apologies to them. My other friends, I'm so sorry. I love y'all. I will see you on the other side of scaling.
And honestly, I'm in the same boat there too. We've talked about that in the past. It's like, it's really, like you said, every level has its devil. And there's sometimes that you just need to remove certain parts of your life in order to scale others, you know? Hmm.
Jamie, for you, what was these? Do you remember a moment you stopped listening to that inner voice and what made it go away?
I had no choice but to let it go away, right? I mean, I'm paying for systems, I have rent, I'm paying for lead opportunities, I'm investing in agents. I'm so deep and I'm so committed at this point, right? Where it's like, yeah, that thought is still there, that imposter syndrome is still there. Every level I try to get to, I have to catch up to the version that I'm becoming. But I had no choice. I'm like, I need to move as quickly as freaking possible because I'll just run out of freaking money, to be completely honest with you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it is what it is, and not too many people have the capacity or the will or the why to scale a real estate company or or a business in general because of the level of sacrifice and intention and movement that you need to have in order to break through.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that devil, do you think that villain ever goes away? Or do you just get better at like not giving it a mic? Like it doesn't get a vote. I cut your mic off.
For me, I think it's cutting the mic off and recognizing it, understanding that it's still there, but proving to yourself by action what's
Mhm.
possible. Because just like working out, right? You get your reps in, you get more confident. For me, like you get your reps in with growth, you get more confident. The moment that you keep pushing forward and you can prove to yourself of what's possible, or like to your point, Britt, you said you didn't know how much capacity you had until you had more capacity. That is a layer of confidence now that you're putting onto yourself
Yeah.
while scaling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One thing that I know I struggled with, and I'll just ask, our community out there listening, it's one thing to say, okay, what's inside of your head when you have that villain? What is really the villain talking that they wanted you to stay comfortable? And what's discernment? Because that's
Mm,
very hard when you think through things, you pray through things. So it's like, when do I have discernment about something? And when is it really like the villain talking? And I know for me, I used to tell myself for years, I'm an anxious person. I lay down, thoughts just flood my mind. I have anxiety. I don't know
mhm,
why I started telling myself that. It's honestly when I got into real estate where I just told myself that. And I believe it's because I was fighting through that imposter syndrome and becoming like a better version of myself. I'm still not the best version of myself. I'm always becoming. But I think that changed for me when I knew it was discernment if it did not give me anxiety and it gave me peace around it.
mm,
It was the villain when my anxiety would raise because I was holding on so closely. Everything relied on me. Everything rise and fall, which, yes, if you're a leader, everything does rise and fall in leadership. But then on the other hand of it, I'm making discerned decisions rooted in discernment because I
mm,
have other people that I get advice from.
mhm,
Right? So if you're like, I need advice from someone and they give you advice and all they freaking do is raise your anxiety, stop doing that shit. You're talking
mhm.
to the wrong people. Heather mentioned it. She's like, why are you getting advice from people who haven't done or accomplished what you're looking to accomplish? We have to be like, we have to have discernment about who we listen to and what's just like white noise and
Right,
like where our
right.
tunnel vision is. Yeah. Who is our North Star and our South Star? Dustin taught me that one. I'm like, who do we look to is who we want to be like and who's a warning for what to avoid.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. Mhm. Damn.
I know we don't want to make this show just straight to women, right? But I do
Mhm.
want to ask this one question. What does the villain say specifically to women building at this level that you think it doesn't say to men?
Ooh.
No.
Woo! Okay, hold on, clock
Yeah.
it.
Because our
What
ladies
is
want to know. There's some stuff, ladies, let's be honest, that we go through that men will never understand. So, ladies out there, we're going to answer this from you. So, building at this level, what is something your villain will tell you that a man will never understand?
what is something that a man will never understand? You got me stumped on that one. I'm coming to you. I got one coming.
Yeah. So, what I know to be true is a lot of women struggle with their first confidence comes from the way they look externally.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
there is a big reason why we get sold so much beauty shit, like, constantly. It was so weird. I went to Vegas a few weeks back, and literally, I'm like, "Man, these West Coast ladies are just different." Like, everybody had something done, like, no shade, ladies, but I'm like, there's this extra pressure that you don't deserve certain things unless you look a certain way as a woman.
That
I
is so
mean, look, my freaking makeup is sitting right here because I was like, I can't get on freaking camera. Like, come on. Men, they don't care. Like, they start balding and they become more audacious. Like, for women,
for real. Yeah, men get better with age. We're just like shit. Man.
or that's what I think that men don't have to struggle with as much. Like, women, and I know, like, it's not fair, like, statistically, how you look determines how much money you're gonna make, how many doors will get open for you, and I think that's something a lot of women struggle with. So, ladies, I hear that, like, that's an internal battle,
Mhm.
but what I will tell you on the flip side of that, and some of y'all be like, "Brittany, shut up talking to me." You have the power to change that. Like, if
Oh,
you don't like the way you look, freaking change it. I just recently lost almost 30 pounds. Thank you, thank you.
proud of
Almost
you.
30 pounds, I have 10 more to go, and it's not for anybody besides me. For me to be confident and comfortable with who I see in the mirror, who I knew I was before, motherhood, cancer, like all of that changed my body. So women, if you're struggling with that inner person telling you, if only you could look like X, Y, and Z, you can diet, you can exercise. At this point, like I said, you can pay for it. Like, we have the power to change so much
Mhm.
now living in 2026, but I know men don't have to struggle with that as much.
Yeah, and Britt, honestly, I'm gonna say something that's super vulnerable right now, because it's about my personal journey. But I actually lost my confidence on this journey because I let myself go. Right. So the matter of like taking care of yourself and putting yourself first, like I would have no problem jumping on camera, doing crazy videos, real estate videos. I've dressed up like Harley Quinn, jumped over fences. Like I was just like confident as hell. And then on the build with just we talked about a life event that my family had gone through, and at times resorting to alcohol probably more than I should, you know what I mean? And then slowing down with working out because I'm trying to build a company and not thinking about myself on that few year journey. Like I could see the difference in my face. I could see the difference in my confidence. And so I could see it from both sides, you know what I mean? Where it's like it could stop you because that is part of the hurdle that I had to personally get
Absolutely.
over, and it makes me teary-eyed even talking about it, but, sometimes when you lose yourself for, like, a moment, it's hard to come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But if you are in our community and you're looking to take back your power, stick around because we will both tell you going through those journeys of like we're both baddies to damn this journey took away some of our shine. It's like you can get
Mhm.
back to that. You just have to decide. You have to decide to put you first, ladies. And don't let nobody's bald headed son stress you the hell out. Even if they are your client, like another agent on the other side or vendor partner, if you protect you and you work on you first, it's amazing how everything else gets better, like, truly.
Mhm.
Like, when the weight started falling this is gonna sound very cliche, but when the weight started falling off of me and my confidence started to come back, everything else became lighter. Like, it truly did. So, we recognize in scaling, you're just gonna go through it. You sacrifice,
Mhm.
like we talked about it, finances, personal time, your health, your fitness, everything gets tested, but that test is not meant to break you though. It's meant to refine
Mhm.
you and make sure you come back to baseline where you have this amazing, incredible business and you also get into the most incredible shape of your life. Like Jamie, when I saw you, I was like, damn, she looked good. Like you
Thank
look
you.
great at the ranch in December, but I'm like, look at my girl.
It's crazy, like, if I pull up a photo of me, like, at one of my first events at the Reside platform at John Cheplack's house, like, I almost didn't even recognize myself. You
Mm,
know what I mean? And it's just like but we all gotta go through those seasons, and that season was telling me something of, like, "Okay, you've learned what it's like to kinda lose you for a moment. Now you know what that feeling is like. Never wanna go back there because that feeling brought the imposter syndrome, some lack of confidence, and maybe moving a little bit slower than I would have if I had that confidence." And just like we tell agents and just like we coach people up in our world, it's like the quicker you move, the quicker you make the reps, the quicker the decisions, whether that's taking care of your health, your wellness, or building your business, the faster you move, the quicker this journey becomes. And I admired you when I was at your house and you're up until 3 o'clock in the morning busting out the rest of our website because you're just moving quick. You know what I mean? And it just helps break through.
yeah, you have to, even with that doubt, the more action activity you do, it becomes quieter. Like you just tell that voice to shut the fuck up, honestly.
You're just like, okay, you're here to teach me something, not sure what it is yet, but I'm just gonna keep fucking moving, you
Yeah, I'm
know?
here to learn from what you're trying to say, and then once I get to
Mhm.
this level, it's just gonna become an evolution to where nothing can stop me. And I
Yeah.
will tell you something, Jamie, this last question I have, guys, it is, when did you first notice the billing in each other? So when did I first notice that you probably were telling yourself some stuff that was you were telling yourself, Jamie, something that wasn't true? It was when we connected before a conversion con, and the reason, like, this podcast even came about, I could see myself inside of you, and I was like, I'm so clear on what she's struggling with because I had been there. Like, we didn't even talk about it out loud at first.
Yeah.
Then when we started bitching about it kind of, I was like, "Oh, she gets it, yes." But I'm like, she's probably telling herself some, yeah, hour and a half car ride to Missis freaking nowhere, Mississippi. You have time to talk about the world's problems. But I'm like, that's when I could see that you probably had some of the same negative self-talk as I
Mhm.
did because we were facing the same challenges. And he was like, how do I break through this? The people around me don't get it. And while we mean well on the outside, internally, that voice in the back of your head is saying, quit, it's too hard. You can go and do
Mhm.
X, Y, and Z. So that's the first time I saw your villain without you like even telling me anything about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for recognizing that in me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. But seriously, I'm like, that's why we needed this community because again, other folks still probably have it at once they reach a certain pinnacle in their business.
I don't
But
think it ever goes away. I don't think it'll ever go away. You just don't listen to it as loud. And like I know myself, like as I was an agent, just trying to grow my company. No, I'm sorry, before I started the company, like I enjoyed all the challenges because it taught me so much and it sucked and it was painful in the beginning. But that's what shaped me to become a better person year over year over year. So now I just look at it as like, I just laugh at it and I'm just like, you know what? clearly I need to learn something from this moment to be able to break through to the next level because you're coming into my brain and you're bringing me back down for a reason, you know?
Yeah, I love it. Well, guys, as we wrap up this episode, I just want to leave you guys with this. The biggest villain in your life doesn't have to be loud. Again, it's the one in between your ears. And the only way that you lose to that is if you choose to be quiet
Yeah, that is so true, and not move.
and not
If you're
move.
quiet and not move, man, your brain will get it'll become a really dangerous place. You just
Yeah,
gotta move, you gotta act, and you just gotta reach out to people who you could borrow relief from. Yeah. Mhm.
absolutely. Guys, you can always download the playbook on this episode from our website. Go to the education. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get
Yay. I mean, we're trademarking the word, we can't even say it.
literally trademark the word and we can't say it, but for real though, we want to educate you as well as give you things that you can execute on. So we have a full outline of how to do so to overcome the biggest villain who is likely sometimes you. As always, I'm Brittany Bowright. She's Jamie Seneca. Thank you for listening in to this episode of Scale Like a Savage.
Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one.